Whilst we would all love to go and sign the next Mbappe in Football Manager, we don't always have the budgets to do that. So is there a way to combine bargains and Wonderkids? Well, today I'm going to help you out with that with 10 Wonderkids that you can sign for under 1 million quid. There or thereabouts in most of your saves. Some of these guys are a few £100,000, some you were paying £1 million for, but all of them have Wonderkid potential. So there's a great list for you today, and I'm going to save my favourite until last because there's some top players here. But if you do go on to enjoy the video, make sure you smash the like button, comment down below your favourite Wonderkid so far, and make sure you're subscribed so you miss none of the content we've got coming out about FM26. But without further ado, let's kick off with player number 1. And we start off with a 17-year-old by the name of Nicolas Azambuja, who's a 17-year-old Uruguayan playing his football for Danubio, a team out in Uruguay. And you can pick up this striker, who can also play 10 and centre mid, for only about 500k or so from his club. Now, he has got a lot going for him. Not only the fact that he's natural in a few positions, meaning you can start to train him from an early age to play the position that you feel like he'd suit best in your system, but also he's got a great base set of attributes to start with, from his physicals, where he's got a lot of 13s and 14s already, to his technicals, where he already has 12 dribbling, 13 finishing and 13 first touch at 17, combined with 13 passing, 13 technique. It's almost guaranteed by the time he's 21, if he's had some decent development, that you'll be seeing 15s and 16s in all of those areas, giving him the chance to be an elite player. He's got great work rate, and whilst there are weaknesses in his game like his balance and his strength, that'll go up a lot in the next few years, hopefully to a manageable level. He's only got 1 strength there, probably just about as much as I've got, and he's also got 1 leadership and 4 positioning, which aren't exactly the best attributes in the world, but there's a lot to work with here, especially for so cheap. Now, I should note, with all of these players, they have Wonderkid potential, but if you don't know, in FM, every time you load up a save, a dice is rolled, and every Wonderkid will get a potential rating given to them based on their range. So the best Wonderkids in the world, your Lamine Yamals and whatnot, will have a range of maybe 180 to 200 or 170 to 200, meaning when you roll that dice, it will only fall in those brackets, and therefore they'll automatically be a world-class player, no matter whether it's on the lower end or higher end of that. It's just FM's way of allowing for saves to be different, but that applies for these Wonderkids as well. In some saves, they might have elite level potential. In other saves, they might be good enough for, say, a low-level Premier League team eventually. You're not really going to know until you scout them, so get your scouts on them, and do bear in mind values can shift slightly from save to save, but for the majority of these guys, you can get them for a very cheap fee. There might be a few that you have to wait until January to sign if they've just recently signed for their clubs, but in Azambuja's case here, he's been at Danubio for a few years, and it makes him a great option to try and sign in the first window. If you can't get him then, keep a scout on him, see how he develops, and that goes for all of these players. But one place where you can find a bunch of bargains is over in the African leagues, where due to the club's financial situations, the players are available for way cheaper than they should be. And that's the case for this 19-year-old midfielder at Mamelodi Sundowns, one of the better teams in South Africa, by the name of Gomolomo Kakana. He's available for around £100,000, maybe 200 at a push, and he starts off with decent starting ability, with nice tackling, passing and technique, good first touch and long shots being the standouts. In his technicals, mentals need a bit of work, but his physicals, he's basically a quick player that's never going to be the strongest or the most imposing, but he's got a bit about him in that sense. Now, with all of these guys, they're obviously going to need work before they develop, so don't take them just based on their attributes here. With many of them, you might be buying them for your academy to develop, but either way, it is a no-brainer to sign a player with potential Wonderkid ability for only 200k or so, and he is going to be a great option when he starts to fill out in that central midfield role. He's got a really good base set of attributes to build from, some weaknesses, but a lot of strengths too, and he's also fairly either-footed, which is helpful for that midfield role, so you could play him on either side, the left or the right. But just bear in mind, I know a lot of you will be saying this, if you try and look for these players and you can't see them in your save, it's because of your database size. When you start a save in FM, you get to pick how many players are loaded. The bigger your database, the more likely people from, say, the South African divisions will be in your save. So bear that in mind. If you can't see them, it's not that they don't exist, it's just that your database isn't big enough to include them. But let's stick in South Africa for our next player, who has a bunch of ability at a very, very young age. The last guy we looked at was 19. This is a 16-year-old called Emile Witbui, and he plays for Cape Town City, again in the South African leagues. You're looking at a similar price for him, 100, 200k for a player that's good on his left foot, more than he is on his right, but he's got 6 traits already in his game, meaning there's definitely something about this guy. He likes to play 1-2s, knock his ball past opponents, likes to try and play his way out of trouble, and that suits a player with 16 dribbling and 16 16 flair. He's going to try and do the unexpected, and I will say, he is one of the best in this list. He can play left wing or attacking midfield. In terms of pure bargains, he is one of the best. I mean, at 16, you might struggle to get him straight away because he's on a youth contract. He might want to stay in South Africa for the first few years of his career. But despite the strength and the jumping reach, he has got some nice physical attributes, some great mentals, particularly in the determination and flair department. But technically, he's a brilliant dribbler with great first touch. By the time he's 20 or 21, even 18, mind you, he's going to have 18 dribbling, 16 first touch, 16 acceleration. He's going to have pace. He's going to be able to beat a man, put a cross in, and create a chance. And for this kind of price, he is a fantastic option and one of my favourites in this whole list. So that's 3 out of the 10 players that we're going to cover today, but just a quick second to let you know, if you like me and you want to see more of my content, then you can find it linked in the description down below, where I have a separate channel where I still make FM content, but it's more entertainment based as opposed to informative. Experiments, rebuilds, all of that stuff is over there. I think the quality level is very high compared to what it used to be, so if you haven't checked it out in a while, come and have a look. I'm very proud of the content we put out over there, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it too. But speaking of enjoyment, you're going to enjoy this video more if I give you some more Wonderkid bargains, so let's continue with our list of Wonderkids under 1 mil. And this is the only player that you might argue isn't technically under a million, because his valuation is 375k to 2.7 mil. The better negotiators of you out there might get him for below a million. If you're not like that, maybe 1.5 mil, but you can forgive me for including this guy in the video, because this is a 19-year-old fullback who has a model citizen personality, the best in the game, and is already looking ready-made to play at a high level. His name is Keita Kosugi. He plays for Djurgårdens in the Swedish leagues, and he is a 19-year-old Japanese national who joined from the Japanese divisions a while ago and has already been playing regularly in the Swedish divisions. You can sign him for, again, about 1 million, 1.5 mil, depending on your save, and you get yourself a left-back straight away, not just with great personality, but really well-rounded physicals, amazing mentals for a 19-year-old. Bear in mind, he's going to be a bit better than some of the younger guys, but to be this good and this cheap, it's pretty mind-blowing, actually. The fact there's only one weakness in his mentals, and it's leadership, the one that you can probably forgive. He's determined, he's well-balanced, then technically it's the same story. Is he the world's best crosser? No. The world's best tackler? No. But he can do everything at a good level. Can even take a set piece if you need him to, with 13 corners and 12 free kicks. But he's got decent tackling, passing, marking, and technique, as well as first touch and dribbling. He's the kind of fullback that you can mould into whatever you'd like to see from your defender. Can play in quite a few positions, but realistically, you want him attacking from this left-back area or left wing back where he suits the best, and for that price, in terms of realised talent, not just potential, he's probably one of the best here. But I've got another Japanese player to pick out for you, and this one is another 19-year-old by the name of Yu Takada. Now, he plays for Tokushima Vortis, who are a team out in Japan, and again, you're looking at about £1 million, maybe a bit over 1.1 at a push, so don't shoot me if it's slightly over $1 million, and he's not quite as good as his fellow compatriot, but I mean, for 19 years of age, to get a player for £1 million that's got some decent attributes to start with, and we know has the potential to be a Wonderkid, I don't think this is a terrible deal. Now, granted, his ability is less than most in this video in terms of starting ability, and he's a bit older, being 19. It's not like he's 16 with these attributes, but there's some good areas to build up from here for a player that can play defensive midfield as his prime position. In fact, if you look at deep line playmaker, he doesn't look terrible for it. Now, marking needs a bit of work. There's some other areas of his game that he definitely needs to work on with his off-the-ball movement. Clearly, this guy doesn't like to move when he hasn't got the ball. And I'm not saying he's world-class, but for £1 million, he might be worth the gamble. Like I say, get a scout on him, check his potential out, because he can, according to all of our data, have Wonderkid potential, depending on when the dice is rolled in your save. And maybe here, the dice wasn't rolled the best way. One of the cheapest players in this list, though, can be found in a very cool division, and it's great to have a Wonderkid of this nation. It's an Uzbekistani international by the name of Sadruddin Hasanov, and he plays for Bunyakdor, who are a team out in Uzbekistan in Central Asia. It's really cool to have Wonderkids from nations that don't normally produce talent, and you could be the one to nurture one of this country's best ever players. Already Kusanov is at Man City, of course, but Hasanov here is a left winger with good dribbling, first touch, and passing ability, and a nice bit of acceleration about him as well. One key attribute is that determination, which is very high here, but he is one of the cheapest in this list. £200,000 or so will net you this Wonderkid that you can stick in your academy, and he's already been a regular starter for his team by the looks of it, according to the game here, so he's obviously got a bit of ability already. Likes to cut inside from the left wing on his right foot, cannot play anywhere else at all, but if you want a young up-and-coming left winger to help your team out, if you're in the lower leagues, or if you want to buy him for your academy in the higher divisions, he'd certainly be worth the investment, and worst case, he doesn't develop all that much, and you sell him for £2-3 million in the future. It's a no-brainer, a money maker, and a potential superstar if things go right. Now, I am going to be saving my favourites till last, but I do quite like this one, even though I'm not usually a fan of talking about goalkeepers in videos because it's quite boring to talk about. But this is a potential wonderkid from Kazakhstan in the net by the name of Shirkan Kulmirza. He plays for Kairat, the team that has a few wonderkids this year, actually. Definitely worth scouting them, one of which has been picked up by Chelsea in Datsan Satpayev. But you can sign this guy, this keeper, for about 300k or so, and you get a 6'2" right-footed keeper with nice agility and some good goalkeeping attributes. There's a lot of weakness in his game still, I will say. Whilst he has got jumping reach, he needs to work on his aerial reach, his command of his area, his communication, but they are attributes that often aren't in young players, and he will develop over the time. What I do like seeing is the core goalkeeping attributes of handling, reflexes, and one-on-ones are at an elite level already, particularly reflexes with some of the best you will see of any keeper in the world, no matter their age. So the fact he's already got these attributes now, by the time he's 22, 23, pushing for a place in the team, I imagine a lot of these 13s will be 15s, a lot of the 11s will be 13s, a lot of these 8s will be 10s or 11s, and you'll get a well-rounded goalkeeper for a very cheap fee. And again, the fact that he could be a Kazakhstan wonderkid, I mean, that's cool enough in its own right. A modern-day ball-playing keeper, it's his best role apparently, with nice passing and kicking. Might need to work on his first touch, but overall, I'm a big fan of his and someone you should definitely scout. But as we head into our final 3 picks for this video now, don't forget to smash the like button if you are enjoying, and subscribe so you don't miss the content we've got coming on the channel. Plenty of great FM26 videos on the way, from tutorials to player guides to tactics. Everything you want will be here on FMSCOUT, so make sure you subscribe, and let's go and check out our final 3 picks, where this player probably would be my favourite in the video, but I've spoken about him so much already that I'm going to cover him briefly. He was in our Best Wonderkids video, he was in our Bargains video. It's 16-year-old Saba Kavarbashvili, who I'm mentioning now like you haven't heard of him, but if you played FM26 or you're watching this in a few months' time, you will have, because he is one of, if not the highest rated wonderkid left backs in the game. At 16, he's an international for his nation of Georgia. You can sign him for $1 million, and he has elite attributes already in many an area. In fact, within a few years, he can be a top player. I've mentioned it before, but in my Man United save 2 years in, I went to scout him. He was 18 years of age and already starting for Juventus at left back, a club known for its strong defenders. So the fact that he got to that level so quick tells you how good this guy is already. Make sure you get eyes on him, and even though it says 2-star player here, he'll be a 4 or 5-star player in no time. And by the way, do ignore these in this video. I'm technically managing Man City, so all of these players and wonderkids that cost 100 grand are being compared to Haaland, to Rodri, so they're obviously not at that level, and for that reason the star ratings don't look great, but don't worry about them right now. I then have an Ecuadorian wonderkid for you to check out for my penultimate player. It's Liga de Quito's Edison Castillo, who's a 16-year-old centre mid, but mainly he's natural in defensive midfield. You can sign him for about £1 million, and he comes with 14 passing, 12 tackling, and 14 technique, with great first touch and vision as well. This right-footed midfielder has some very good attributes to start with. Again, a lot of weaknesses in his game, but you can give the benefit of a doubt for a 16-year-old. If he's 19, maybe you consider him a potential no-go option, but at 16, a lot of these attributes will develop massively in no time. And I think if you're training him to be a ball-playing midfielder, deep-line playmaker kind of vibe, if you can get that marking up, you're going to be good, because everything else will move in time, particularly the physicals. By the time he's 18, 19, a lot of these 8s and 6s will be in the regions of 10s and 11s. There's a lot of physical growth in players between 16 and 18, so don't let that rule yourself out of signing him. Maybe keep an eye on him at his club. About 500k, 600k maybe, and you can get him, I reckon. So keep an eye on this guy. But the next one is by far my favourite. Not just because he's got a great name, but he has bags of ability already. It's Darwin Guagua, who is a 17-year-old Ecuadorian player playing for Independiente del Valle, who have already had plenty of wonderkids come out of their ranks in recent years, and this looks to be the next one. Already an international for his nation, you can sign him for a bit more than $1 million in some cases. In some cases, you will get him for $1 million. I reckon on average, you're looking at about 1.2, 1.3. But I had to include him because just look at how good he is. He's natural on the left wing, cutting in on his right foot. Physically, yes, needs some development, but at 17, you can forgive it. Mentally, you start seeing what I'm seeing with him. 16 decision making, great composure, the anticipation is at a high level, teamwork and work rate too. So the mentals are looking okay. Whilst they do need some work in some areas, they're looking pretty good in the areas that are key. But it's his technicals where you go, wow, I need to sign this guy. 15 crossing, 16 dribbling, 16 first touch, 16 passing, 16 technique. Combine that with good heading ability, finishing, even tackling for a winger. Why wouldn't you want this guy? He has already got elite level technical attributes, and I don't say that lightly. And I think by the time he's 20, 21, You'll be looking at a lot of 18s and 19s in this player, which is bonkers to say. There's a lot of left wingers that are playing in the Premier League that won't have the ability in some of these areas that he has. Obviously, I'll be better in the physicals and mentals, but this kid's 17. Give it some time and you will see a superstar here. And he's one that I really want to check out in game to see how he develops, because I really do think he could be one of the best Wonderkids in this year's FM. But there we go. That's my picks for today's video. 10 Wonderkids under $1 million. There's plenty more bargain Wonderkids out there, so I'll be making loads of videos about it. So make sure you're locked into the FM Scout channel, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.